Recording.
It's like I have one. Okay, so welcome everyone to the public hearing on the proposed zoning law and subdivision law that town board has been working on for quite a few years. This is going to be run as a public hearing, which is a little different than 2 weeks ago. We had an information session, which people, commented, and they asked questions, and we tried our best to explain. And Nan was here, the consultant. So that was an information session, but this is really a public hearing. And so in order to speak, I'm going to ask you to sign up, and I'll go to the sign. If you haven't already signed up and you do want to speak, please just grab it and sign the list. And if somebody comes in at obviously late, they'll go to the bottom of it, and they'll speak last and we'll have them in. But when you do speak, I'll have you come up to the table and state your name and your address. And we're trying to record this, right? So that's the whole goal here, is to make sure that your comments are fully received and are recorded, and we have a record. So that's the goal here. That's why we're asking you to so close. That's fine. And Elisa's running the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Your camera drive.
Other duties as assigned.
Other duties. Exactly. So, but this has been a long process, and we are excited to bring it coming to an end of that process. And so we're anxious to hear your comments and thoughts. And so I think we'll start with the first person on the list. I don't know where he is. There he is, way in the back. John Emilio.
You gotta open it up.
You gotta open. Oh, yeah.
Make a
I'm
motion.
myself already. Can I get a motion to open up the public hearing?
So
Oh, there you go. Second.
Darren and Ian.
Any discussion? All those in favor of opening the public hearing?
I
It's carried. Okay, the public hearing is officially opened. And we'll take our first commenter, John Familio. Just come on up, John, and right up here.
don't have any.
Oh, so you decided. Okay. I got it.
I can always come up with something.
I see it. I see. Yeah, Sue's got this. She's got check marks on the right hand side. Okay, so Karen Hotelli is next. She's got a check mark, says she would like to see.
And I've been in charge of a 3-minute timer, so I'll tell you in 2 minutes, and I'll tell you it's just.
Okay. Considering how few people are right now signed up,
You're not very.
I'm not too worried about it.
Well, that's good.
Got all the time.
Oh,
Right, okay.
Fill up this evening.
Okay, my name is Karen Hotel, and I live in Hubbardsville on Green Road, 8235 Green Road. I own many acres in the area. And after attending the public informational meeting recently and reading over the information, I have come to the following conclusions. It seems every time the town Hamilton board works on a proposal to make changes for its residents, I have less control over the property I own. This time, because a small percentage of people were in favor of it on a questionnaire over 10 years ago. With the new wording and the laws in this proposal, I expect major changes to the rural character of the community that I have lived in for over 80 years. Solar fields, wind turbines, and cell towers are allowed. There will be a new commercial area, new design plans for large landowners, all detracting greatly from the rural setting. In the agricultural residential areas, some property owners are allowed to benefit financially, yet any connection to natural gas is completely banned, if ever New York State allows it. Also allowed in the ag residential area are residential medical treatment facilities, which leads me to question a rumor concerning the possibility of a drug and alcohol or mental rehabilitation facility in the center of Hubbardsville at the old Hamilton Manor. Every land owner will find restrictions should they wish to make changes on their property. Nothing can be done without the town's approval. And yet, even though all the rules and regulations in this proposal are for every resident, it is my understanding the town is now exempt from them. I wonder if the intent is to make the town better for all of us, or to have the control to determine what they perceive is best for us. It's very unfortunate that we lost our local paper. This comprehensive plan which is what the zoning and subdivision laws are based on, was passed in 2017. At the informational meeting a few weeks ago, a consultant gave a brief accounting of the changes they've been working on. Questions from the audience were asked and answered. It was expressed by the board how difficult these changes are to answer, to understand. Yet no method of explaining the major changes being considered in this document were ever presented to us during the entire 8 years. I know we are expected to attend town meetings if we are interested, but don't we vote in people to keep us informed about major issues like property restrictions? I understand and respect the amount of time it took to work on this proposal. However, this is my family home. I taught second grade for 20 years in Hamilton. I love the area. And when laws are made to change it, I need to respond. Thank you for listening to my concerns. I hope that in some way it will be meaningful to the members as they vote.
Karen, do you want to submit that letter for the record or?
Not necessary.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Next up, so, yeah, we came in together, so.
Yeah.
That's gonna do it. Yeah, I know it. So, obviously, I sent, my letter in earlier, talked to Sue, so she got it, so I'm just gonna give a brief, Deb Hoteling, 8235 Green Road, Hubbardsville, New York. Thank you for your commitment and time. I do know how much time you guys have put in this. It's very important. I understand that the board is working towards a vision for the town based on the 2017 comprehensive plan and is using the zoning law to accomplish its stated goals. My concern is that for all the good intentions, the zoning law is being used as a tool to control development into the town's vision for property use. Property owners' vision is sometimes secondary. After fully reading the new law, I also believe that some residents will be more impacted than others by the changes. Residents in and around Hubbardsville and the new commercial district in Hubbardsville, plus the property owners with ag res parcels over 20 acres. Just going to highlight a couple of the comments because I know that I sent them to you. The town has exempted itself from all aspects of the zoning law. If the town residents must follow the law, the governing body should as well. This is especially relevant with plans for construction of a new highway garage located next to residential properties in Hubbardsville in the new commercial district. I feel it's important that all properties are afforded the same consideration under the law. I do appreciate that there's no hamlet designation in Hubbardsville. Number 3, the commercial district, Laws-12 corridor in Hubbardsville will be created to allow for a focused area of commercial growth. There are many residences and ag parcels that will be impacted. The type and nature of allowed commercial uses could disrupt the rural character of Hubbardsville and have a negative effect on property value. Again, this is where the new town highway garage is going to be located, and there are concerns that this created, it's kind of self-serving to create this area commercial. The density requirements in the ag residential district are more restrictive. Only parcels greater than 20 acres in the ag residential district have such restrictions. Other parcels, regardless of the size or district, have been allowed to keep their one dwelling per 1 acre baseline exemption or baseline designation. The purpose of density zoning is to control and direct housing growth, conserve open space, rural character, and recreational use. The burden to do this seems to be placed more heavily on the owners of the large parcels in the agri district. Touch on the natural gas again. Only uses listed in the use table are allowed. Natural gas is not specifically listed, but it has been banned as a heavy industrial use. And natural gas drilling and infrastructure in all forms, not just hydrofracking, is not allowed. New York State currently has a ban on, which everybody knows, but that could change in the future. Technologies and safety standards are constantly improving, and only green energy development will be allowed. I feel this is a political agenda, not necessarily what the zoning law should be based on. Okay, I will conclude with there are many positive aspects included in the zoning law. I appreciate again the time and effort that you put into the document. I do feel, however, that the zoning law places too much emphasis on the town's vision for development
and land use, at times to the detriment of the property owner. Thank you again. Realize all your time. Thank you.
Emily, give us a sign-in sheet. You know,
They get to sign.
Well, at this point, it doesn't matter. I mean, you'll come in
There's
at
more
the,
people, oh wait.
yeah, there's definitely at least one more person. Rudy Ballard.
Rudy Ballard, I live on 1601 Humphrey Road, which is up the hill from the East Hamilton Church. Basically, it's almost like it's on Route 12 with noise, etc. I missed the information meeting. I apologize for that. I was online and have a hard time finding, following things online, so I guess this is the time to make statements, but it's not a time you can ask questions. Just curious.
It isn't going to be tonight. You can definitely contact any member of the board. Or more members of the board at another time, to ask more questions and. The rest of you, but it's just not, there are a lot of rules around this.
I understand.
We're following like basically public law procedure.
Understand.
Yeah.
So I will make some statements and just kind of change, because the previous person who spoke talked about the town being exempt from the zoning regulations, which, I was actually a member before I moved to Hamilton of a planning board. And the planning board had basically the responsibility of developing the land use regulations within that town. But in no way have I heard of a town being exempt from the regulations, basically saying you can do what you want to do and we don't care what your citizens care. It would seem like you've been working on this, I'd say, a long time. I don't know when the first meeting was, which is understandable. I would hope that the working on it a long time would come basically from a planning board to the town board, not the town board to the planning board. And I don't know if that's what happened. I don't know if the planning board is represented here or not. In regards to, I'm not sure of all the changes to the commercial zones on Route 12. My basic question would be what considerations were made in regards to other property on Route 12 that they were made commercial properties or zone commercials. Another one I have, and I guess I should have followed this up with someone else, would be a property that's zoned commercial. Is it also agricultural, residential, commercial? And if it's zoned commercial agriculture, does that mean it has a different tax base than if it should be one or the other? It would seem like if in fact the town, and I don't know when that's going to come about, I would have thought maybe the zoning board was part of getting commercial property to relocate the highway department, and if that was any part in the conversation, which I don't know that it was or is, it would seem to be like other property, maybe zoned on Route 12, which might be ideal for a location for a highway department, might be a competition to various landowners to sell that land to the town. Thereby, the town had more flexibility on where they're going to buy based upon they might get a better price. So I don't know how much. I'll have to go back and review. When I went online before, I really couldn't determine the question I had, but you can't answer. I was going to say how much land was looked at in regards to turning commercial east, north and south of the hamlet of East Hamilton. Because obviously there's a lot of ideal properties that could be commercial, north and south. But also most of that, a lot of that property is agricultural now. But with the state of the agricultural community, maybe some landowners who aren't into dairy farming per se, there's not that many as we know. I might be into looking at other possibilities for their land to I won't say enhance their living, but to help with paying the taxes and everything else that everybody has to deal with. So so I would think that if other property up and down 12 was zone commercial, which it seems like that this would be maybe the ideal place for egas access to property, and especially if the town's considering to relocate the highway department, that it might have a bearing on what the town could accomplish in getting a better buy on property. I guess that's it until I get a copy and study a little more, and I apologize for the fact I didn't have more. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the people that are currently signed up, so, I see. Emily, did you want to speak?
Yes, I do.
Yep. Would you give your name and your address and
Okay, my name's Emily Warren and I live at 1600 Preston Hill Road. I work there. And I'm sort of representing my parents who are also landowners. And we work and share with them the land that it's on. Preston Hill Road.
Well, could you give, do you know their address?
Yeah,
No, I know your
well,
name.
their home is 707 Horton Road, which is also our business address.
Okay,
But they also own, I don't know the exact parcel numbers, but they're
that's okay,
basically.
just the address.
Ten-
Thank you.
So I'm here with my husband and my son Galil. And we live and work at 1600 Preston Hill Road and 7071 Preston Hill Road. And we own 190 acres, and 130 of those acres are almost entirely inside the New York State Certified Agricultural District. We run a small farm, eat birds, layers, fruit trees, large garden, and a rural construction business primarily in our barn. And my 15-year-old who's here is already committed to the rural life, and he's 15, and in 10 years, he'll likely have his own livelihood here in Hamilton. Whether that's a construction shop or an excavation yard or a contractor's yard or a farm-based enterprise. These are normal, appropriate uses that already exist throughout the town. And before I continue, I want to acknowledge something, that I am an emotional person. So the truth is that I feel very strongly, because this is my family's future is being directly affected. So if my husband and myself and other landowners had been invited into this conversation over the past few years, which is not to say that you didn't have many meetings where you invited everyone, but because our land is now directly in the goals for residential planning, we would have been ready to get involved and work on the comprehensive plan's goals of smart growth and protecting the environment and being farm friendly and supporting appropriate housing. And we really would help to solve these issues together with our backgrounds. And my concern today is that, one, on closer research on the proposed tables, there's some conflicts with the New York State Ag and Markets protections. Farm-based lodging, food and beverage uses, and kennel activities are protected when tied to agriculture. Yet in the residential district that's proposed, the use table has them listed as not permitted, and they are not included in the certified ag exemptions in the use table. And that forces families to fight for their rights with the state that the state already grants. And a simple fix is to allow these ag protected uses on the certified ag parcels with review. So second is that residential designations shut down rural trades for the next generation. And under the residential table, construction shop, a contractor's yard, or excavation business is flatly not permitted. So that means if Galil or my other children, boys want to do something in that field and live in Hamilton, they would have to move to do that. They would not have the right to apply for a special use permit at this point. The pre-existing use protects my husband's business today, but it does not protect my children's future to work and live on this land responsibly. And I still haven't heard a clear planning rationale for why our certified ag land and one entire side of Portland Road was placed inside the residential rectangle, while the opposite side with as many homes or not more was excluded. So I'm hoping to understand the logic, the supporting logic for that decision. So my simple ask is revise the use tables to align with the state ag protections and restore access to special use permits for rural trades. Or remove our certified ag land from the residential box. Thank you.
Is anyone here, paying to listen? Would anyone else like to speak? It's time, now's the time to speak and,
I would like to speak.
sure, come on up.
Over Oregon, running Oregon Construction, 69 Preston Hale Road is our property. We were looking at the entire plan and we, for the last week and a half, tried to like bash into it and try to understand the primarily goal that you guys were doing. And however I looked at it, it almost seems like the board decided to go against businesses in this area. According to what I understood for Emily, Yvonne was mentioning there was thought of fear that maybe after what's gonna happen with Micron, we're gonna have that there'll be like a spillover that's gonna get to this area, and that, like, if you follow real estate and you know how it goes in a passive loss resistance. The first thing is highway, you got 90s, you got Fultons, you got all these area, which are a lot more, it's gonna get a lot more over there before anything gonna happen here. Even if we're looking at 100 years plan, it's almost seems like the whole plan was, let's shut down the businesses that happening here. I didn't see anything on this plan that said, let's promote business. It was all about, let's slow down growth. And I think this is, I don't know who's supposed to be the entrepreneur person in this group, but I think that guy was not talking enough, because it seems like you're just shutting down all the growth that can happen around us. That's it.
Can I make another statement?
Yeah, unless, I'd like to see if there's anybody else who hasn't spoken first, who would like to speak at this point. Anyone else? I'm not gonna be, it's such a small group, I'm not gonna be very strict, so go ahead, please stand up.
Oh, just something came to my mind here. I said in a previous life, I lived in a different place and was served as the chair of the planning board. And in that case, the planning board had a lot to do with land use regulations. It wasn't zoning, in fact, because of the town. But our planning board spent over a year and a half, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours developing a change to the land use regulations. And I presume like that town, this town is the final say in making those changes. It's not a town vote, it's a town board vote. So I would say, in regards to what we did after all the work and the deliberations, the town board actually did not have a lot of input, because that's the way it was chosen to be. But in the end, the town board voted down what we've come up with after public hearings, etc. My only cause for the statement is it keeps being stated here that you work many hours on this, etc., etc. I'm not sure how much was the planning board, the town board, but regardless, your responsibility in looking at everything and everything you learned today is when you make that final decision, that decision be made to vote down the proposed and or I don't know what your criteria is at this point for bringing this forth for a vote and the necessity or the priority of that. And whether the comments I've heard tonight, whether maybe rather than vote it down, if you're considering everything, you could consider keeping it open. And I know you get tired of working on things as everybody does, but maybe it needs a little bit more work.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Not hearing anybody else who wants to speak tonight, then I am going to ask for a motion to continue the public hearing until December 11th, which is the next town board meeting, next Thursday. And so I'm looking for that motion.
So moved.
A second,
I'll second it.
okay? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. So the public hearing has been extended, continued, which means that is just, it does allow us to make changes if we so choose to do so. We can continue it for quite a long time, I believe. I did speak to our attorney today, and I believe it was either 120 days or something. She didn't go back and double check that, but a long time. So, so rest assured, I think that we are listening to your comments and concerns, and we will certainly discuss them and try to figure out how much, if any, do we want to change the law, and whether or not we, or we want to explain what we're doing. We've been explaining to various people, but continue on and pass it as it is, or potentially change it. But by continuing this hearing, we're leaving open that possibility. So I just want you all to be clear that, just as Mr. Ballard said, we don't have to act on. We're not planning to vote on it tonight anyway. That was never our plan. But we are continuing it at least until next week. And we will not be meeting here. We will, I don't think.
No, at 38 Milford.
Yeah, it's already publicly advertised. That's our regular meeting place. You all know where that is in the town, in the village. So that's where we will be continuing the discussions. And, again, if there are other public comments, especially because the public hearing is not closed, when people have comments, they can submit them in writing. Potentially speak again at the next meeting. I mean, we do have other business to attend to, so we haven't really figured that out yet, but we would certainly run the portion of the public hearing that night in a similar fashion. So, okay, does that make sense to everybody? Everybody clear on the next steps, procedure? Anybody got questions before I move to? I need a motion to go into executive session for advice of counsel. Okay, second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Okay, that's it. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate your.
Hold on a second. Yeah, I got to close eyes.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
You too.